You know what's funny is when we made the movie, we knew that it was something special, and then when we watched it for the first time, we knew that it was something special, and then now finally hearing that because it's hitting the right spot, that it's generating its own noise and its own goodness. It feels so satisfying to know that it's not that long now that people actually get to witness it. I think in this movie we're not seeing brilliant superheroes be brilliant. We're watching we're watching anti-heroes be particularly crap at lots of things going on in their life right now. And that's part of the joy of watching them for the first 45 minutes is they're really struggling of how to do pretty much anything, especially as a team. And it's relatable. We hopefully see ourselves and then we hopefully see our own struggles and the way that we cope with dark times. And it's something that we can actually maybe learn from.
Slowly but surely, we've been giving people trailers and clips and showing them what, that our hearts were in this thing and that we wanted to make a beautiful, funny, hilarious, wild, moving movie. And we did that. And I'm just so excited that people are going to get a chance to see it and really enjoy these wonderfully wacky Marvel characters.
It's wild that we're here, but we had such a good time, and I feel this group is so ridiculously talented and funny that I don't know, I'm hopeful. I feel like people might really like the movie. It's always bittersweet and exciting, and it's nostalgic for me to be here. I mean, having been here now 15 years later since the first time I was on this boulevard with Marvel, and I think anytime something connects with people, I think that's what you want. These characters, you want to care for them. You want them to be real. I think the difference with this film is that they're all very relatable. They're three-dimensional, and they wear their hearts and their shit on their sleeve, and they don't hide it. I just think it will be interesting to see what their future is going to be, but we'll see.
In my opinion, this is a great movie for the summer for all sorts of reasons. First and foremost, it's deeply entertaining. It's got tons of action-packed adventure. Having said that, there's a very, very well-rounded story that drives all of the action, and that makes it. And it's got a lot of grit, and it's very raw, and it makes it like old school Marvel.
It's beyond a dream. It really is surreal, and I'm just thinking it's to be on Hollywood Boulevard too. And I used to do this. I used to line up outside of premieres when I first came to LA. So it's really crazy to be on the other side, and it's always been a dream to be in the Marvel Universe, and to be in it with this movie, with this crew, it's just, I feel so blessed, yeah. I think that they just have a real tenacity, and they are interesting, You cannot deny that they are interesting, so they kind of end up working perfectly together. You wouldn't think, but they do. I think this movie is so special because it has all the elements that you expect from a Marvel movie. We've got action sequences, stunts, fighting, the witty banter, dynamics. We got the whole lot. But I think it's a real kind of Trojan horse about deeper issues and themes. And I think it will kind of really surprise audiences with its depth and nuance and its kind of grittiness. I think it's really, it feels classic but new.
Well, it's a different type of Marvel movie than you've seen before in that the emotional center of the movie is what you're watching. People ask, why do you got to go see it on IMAX? And I'm like, so you can see the emotions better, so that the subtleties of character can come out, and you can see the one single tear that you might not have seen on your home television. But that is what it is. I think there's great fighting, there's great action, but all the action services the story. And that was what Jake wanted to make. That was the movie we wanted to make. We worked really hard on making it. maybe this is what we want. You know, maybe this is a new avenue that we can go in. And you haven't seen these characters a lot before, and it's fun to have created them and have sort of been limitless opportunities of what we could make these people. It was great.
The characters are relatable. They're not, these heroes, these aspiring heroes. They are inspiring in a way of the relatability of this movie. And I think that fans are going to come away and want to give their loved ones a hug. And I think, it's got a lot of humor, it's got heartbeat, it's got a lot of love, it's got a lot of mishaps, it's got a lot of ridiculousness. And they are just, these kind of scoundrels who are really trying to exist and coexist in this world. And you've got the action as well. Marvel never lets, the fans down with that. But yeah, there's going to be a whole lot of love in this movie. Because you know what, we and Louis were saying this actually, even though massive 4D IMAX movie cinema, even the most, what Jake did so well is even the most intimate scenes with these characters, seeing it really big, you feel like you're in. It feels like you're really involved and you are really part of it.
It's a big moment for me, It means a lot to be incorporated and invited to the party, and especially with this character who is so meaningful to me. And so I know what it means to be a fan of something, and so it's not like it doesn't weigh on me lightly. And I hope that it's received well, and I hope everyone knows that I put a lot of thought and heart into it, and I hope they love it. Yeah, I think that, one of my favorite parts about superhero movies is when the superhero is discovering that they are a superhero, because I think that is one of the most human parts of the story, right? Where you're like, oh, that could be me discovering these things, that I have 20/20 vision, or I can shoot webs out of my hands, or I can jump really high. And so this kind of has that element throughout the entire movie, where they're all really trying to figure out how they can do what they're expected to do, which is be a superhero.
I'm excited because I know how avid Marvel fans are, and I know about all the little Easter eggs already, and I know that this is a different sort of movie because these are different sort of superheroes, and more than any other, I think they can identify with these folks more than any of the other members of the universe. There but by the grace of God go I. I could be Red Guardian too, I could be Ghost. All of those folks. It's going to be interesting to see how people react to it, but I think that's the thing that they're going to love. Wow, I feel like I can be up there with them. Right, and it's the fact that, their moral ambiguity and their flaws are so reflective of who we are as human beings, and it teaches us that even in your most darkest hours, you have to have courage, and courage is acting in the face of fear, not in the absence of it, and that's what they teach us in this film. First of all, great action. Flo does a stunt right at the beginning that is just out of this world. I love it, and also just the discovery of what that asterisk is all about. That's another thing.
Honestly, there's always just something about a Marvel film that is so amazing, incredible, and special. And there's just nothing like a good Marvel movie coming out in theaters, and going to see it in theaters with your friends is always amazing. It's fun, sentimental, and adventure-y, and I think they're gonna love all the Thunderbolts.
I think the best part about this movie is how fresh the characters are. So I think for Marvel especially, it's exciting to see new faces and new versions of old characters, and I think it's just really fun to have a female main character. And my favorite movie has always been Black Widow from all the Marvel series, and I loved Yelena. And so I think that just having a strong female main character just makes this a great way to start the whole Marvel summer season. I guess the best part about this is how there's a lot of love and a lot of there's the relationships between the characters are so complex, which I think is so fun because David Harbour and Florence Pugh's daughter-father relationship is just it's such, every single time they speak you're bound to laugh at some point and then also kind of cry, and I think that's kind of the beauty of this film, how it explores the relationships in this crazy fun action film. With such big things like this, where there's people fighting, there's buildings blowing up, you have to see it in a huge screen. You have to feel like you're there. And the only way to do this on a home theater with your TV in your living room, it's to go to a huge screen like the Dolby Cinema and just be immersed in the experience. And I think that's so worth it, especially for this film.
Well, that's a great question because there's what it means to me to be part of this story, which is a lot, because I think this story is as humane and considerate of being a human being as any of these movies ever are. But to be in a Marvel movie kind of makes my career official at this point. So it means a lot everywhere I look. For me, what's unique about this sort of assembly of characters is that they're all human beings. There's room for all kinds of storytelling, but in this story in particular, these characters that have these extraordinary abilities are all people, and their extraordinary abilities have not canceled out their people problems. So in terms of does this relate, it relates to anybody who watches it, and I think the story as I read it is so generous in terms of inviting the entire audience to sort of see the similarities between them and these sort of elevated kind of massive, powerful characters, and that there's a lot more similarities than differences, and that any version of that message to me right now has a lot of value.
It's so fun and beautiful. Like Jake made it so beautiful, but also like you're gonna legit laugh, and there's some little energy, and you're gonna maybe have a little crush, and then you're also hopefully gonna cry. And I think maybe we all need a good cry to really release before the summer. It has a little bit of everything. I mean, I like anti-heroes. I think anti-heroes are more interesting than regular heroes most of the time. And also I think there's something really inspiring about what could make someone who has made mistakes in the past go to a place of making the world better. I think there's something beautiful about that.
It's a really lovely thing because you go off and, it really felt like we were kind of on our own down in Atlanta, and you're just making some of your friends. I've known some of these people before this movie, and it never felt like this huge thing. Even when you're out in the middle of Utah flipping cars, it felt like just making a movie together the way you would on any scale. But then you remember, okay, no, it is a Marvel movie and it is summer, and we do have big explosions and stunts, and that this is going to operate on a scale where, the theatrical experience is so special, and that people are going to show up to see this. It feels really wonderful. Yeah, I mean, well, when you have this cast, you just feel like you want to give them as much as they can to sink their teeth into, because they can do it all. And it felt like we wanted to tell a story that felt honest, and even in those kind of darker, grittier moments, like there is humor, you know what I mean? And that's true in all kind of aspects of life, whether it's on, world stakes scale or, just your regular stakes. And I think it felt honest to the story to have all of that in there. I mean, we went to the ends of the earth. We had Florence Pugh on top of the second tallest building in the world, stepping off of it and filming that for real. And when you see those real images in those places we went, up on a big screen with all of that scope, it's just so much, it's just what it was meant to be seen.
We wanted to be true to the characters and of the story. I think all of us are complex and a little bit magical. So I think that's what we tried to be. We tried to be ourselves and try to make as honest the music the way we make it as we could do, and also find new ways to explore. And this was because we are explorers as we were experimentalists at heart, and so this was a perfect chance to do it.
Yeah, I love that you used the word grit, because I think that was something that, really being grounded and tangible and real and human is something that really drew us into this script and this story, and we just wanted to bring that human, relatable energy into the sound of this film.
The film, I would say, is really big on character development and really big on emotion and really big on just kind of making that emotional connection. And so I think there's nothing better than to experience that in a room full of people together as a cathartic experience. And when you pair that with the moments of bombast and grandiosity that come with a Marvel film, inevitably, it's kind of, you get your cake and eat it too a little bit in terms of an experience in a theater, with a big system and everything like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Everyone can understand and empathize with what it feels like to feel not wanted or not part of something or discarded or not loved, and that kind of loneliness, and to take these characters who are all dealing with different things from their past and put them together and get over flaws, or not flaws, but move past their past trauma and stuff to help build each other up. It's a really lovely feeling that's I'm not a person who likes saccharine sweet stuff, but this really sneaks up on you, and it meant a lot to kind of take something that felt very aggressive and in your face and make it something kind of lovely and positive. Well, I think you start with the actors and the cast. I think that they are they're incredible, and their rapport with one another is outstanding. And then they were just a kind of perfect. You had all the ingredients for like a really spicy chili, kind of like they were built to annoy one another, but I think that when you're on a journey to grow, you kind of see that hey, some of the things that are bothering me are actually about myself. And I think a lot of there's a lot of like realization moments for these characters in that, and that's frustrating. And like to realize looking at that person shows me how to grow. For someone like these characters, that's annoying, and that reaction is fun. And I don't know, I think that they're just quirky and eccentric, and I love them for it.